Well, good evening. And yes, it was. It was an incredible week of plastics up at Horwood Lake Lodge, our seventh annual CFN retreat. And it went off without a hitch. I have so many people to thank. There's so many people that I need to get to. But first and foremost, how you doing? We took the week off. We missed you, but I will say this: we did great, even though we weren't with you here on Monday. Mike did a fantastic job with Turdy Tuesday, and of course, with all the updates, and the CFN Fish Off is absolutely blowing up. I'm actually glad that I'm back just to lend a hand to Mike as well as the judges, because they got their plates are full with all of the submissions. It's literally off the hook right now. So a big shout out, thank you to all of you folks that are participating in the CFN Fish Off. I honestly can't thank you enough for the effort that you're putting forth. So keep up the great work, and we will get to it. But the CFN Fish Off, of course, will have Attorney Tuesday tomorrow. And for all those who are looking for a bump board, I want to announce that Go Large Fish Ruler, those folks over there are doing some fantastic work for us for the catch, photo, and release side of things. And they have a very reasonable bump board that if you're interested in, I will certainly point you in the right direction and get a hold of Ron Ouellette. But Go Large Fish Ruler, it's a Canadian thing, and they do all their crafting here on Canadian soil. And we're proud to have them. They're going to be a huge part of the CFN Fish Off and all of our events going forward that require a bump board. So we're looking forward to that. For all those who, as I said, missed us last week, but we're busy catching fish, I want to thank you all for that. Truly I can't put it into words. It's just amazing to see. How you doing, Steve? Thanks for holding down the fort as always. Jim Fowler, how you doing, my friend? Our good buddy Joe has a special gift for you, so stay tuned to that. Pete LeDuc's in the house. How you doing, Pete? Always nice to see you. Yes, Pow Castings. I can't say enough about Brad. We'll get to that in a sec, because there's just so many people that I want to say. How you doing, Tony? We missed you as well, my friend. Thanks for all those tags, too, and all those incredible giveaways that you're doing. Good stuff. There he is, holding up that pike. What a pike. What a catch. Mark Wolf's been busy. Mark, you look awesome, dude. CFN's never looked so good, man. Fantastic stuff. Charles, you're going to want to stay tuned, too, because we have a special thank you coming to you as well. Eve's in the house. You look like you were tournament fishing this weekend, Eve. You were on a boat anyway. It's more likely than not that I see you in a kayak, but this weekend, I think I saw you in a boat. So I'm going to assume you were competing in a tournament, and hopefully you did well. Dean, salt of the earth right there. What a great guy. What a fantastic guy. And I don't need to say that. Walt can say it too. Everybody can say it. Dean, you are an extra special something, my friend. I know you don't take compliments very well. You're like me, but it needs to be said. I wish there were more Deaners out there. You're a gem, and you're a heck of a lot of fun to be around. So thanks for being you, buddy. Oh, you got it already. Yes. Right on, buddy. Hope to have you there next year so you can wear it loud and proud. Looking forward to seeing you. Gary, thanks for jumping in like you did. That was perfect. We have a special power hour this Wednesday. Gary's going to be on with Cody. They have a special event coming up that they're going to be talking about on Wednesday. Stay tuned. They have a boater, non-boater tournament going on this weekend. And what they're going to be talking about, of course, is the tournament itself. But if you are a boater, if you have a boat and you have no issues with having a non-boater on your boat to compete in a charity tournament, Gary right there is the man that you're going to want to get a hold of. And if you're not sure about it, we're going to talk a lot about it on Wednesday. So stay tuned to that. Looking forward to it. As always, Gary and Cody, we haven't had on yet, and I know he's eager to get on and talk about it. So we're looking forward to hearing from him. Brad, how you doing, buddy? Morning, afternoon, evening. Yes, absolutely. All the above, depending on where you are. Jim, with bells on, well, you're going to fit in. You're going to fit in great, because take a look at this crowd. What a collection of gents, generous people, folks who have big hearts, and like-minded individuals. It was just an honor to be a part of this event. And it truly was a historic event for a number of reasons, and I'll get to all that in a quick minute. But of course, there's so much to talk about, so much to go through. So I don't want to waste too much time. As you know, it is our 10th anniversary. Our good buddy Richard Dunlop, who joined us up at Horwood Lake, saw lots of these with those who attended. And if you are looking for a hoodie, because it's getting close to that time of year, or perhaps a flex fit hat, please get a hold of Richard Dunlop. He'll help you. He'll point you in the right directions if need be. Time is running out with our commemorative 10th anniversary jersey. This jersey is still going to be around as we go forward. It's just not going to have the 10th anniversary logo on it. So if you're interested in picking up something that is going to be considered a collector's item at some point, by all means, reach out to myself or Walter, and we will certainly point you in the right direction. But there's so many options to choose from. We are in the midst of redoing this for next year. Won't be much of an update other than, as I said, the 10th anniversary logo won't be on it, but stay tuned. Who knows what it'll turn into. As mentioned, it was this our 7th annual CFN retreat, Horwood Lake Lodge. And I'll tell you, the anglers that are on this pick, they did a fantastic job during our fish off, which is very similar to the fish off that we are currently running right now. And a big shout out, thank you, as I mentioned, to Mike and all the participants. You guys are hitting it out of the park. If you're looking to participate, you got to go over to Anglers Atlas. Mike and I will talk about this again tomorrow. And it's the MyCatch app. Anglers Atlas is the webpage. MyCatch is the app that you need. Walter managed to, I think he submitted 2 or 3 fish. And he said, Scotty, it's extremely easy. So, if I can do it, if Walt can do it, anybody can do it. It's super, super simple. So again, big shout out, thank you to Warren and Doris, who have done yet another fantastic job opening up their door and allowing us to come into what is their home, really. Horwood Lake Lodge is where they stay. It's where they live 24/7. So they opened their door to CFN, and we can't thank them enough for all that they do. They managed to give out a really cool prize during the giveaways on the last day for a Streamside Predator rod. One lucky attendant went home with a beautiful Streamside rod. So just very giving individuals, giving folks that Warren and Doris are. Big shout out to Jamie and Lisa Tadgel, who also helped out in a big way. As I said, it is a lot of work for those two to do themselves. So again, thanks to Jamie and Lisa for really helping out. And as I said, it was a team effort. It started right off the bat with this wonderful picture, Roe and River. Thanks so much, Chuck. Those gift bags. You remember you giving those to me when I was up at the Kids Derby up at Elliott Lake? I still had them, and I managed to save 2 for River and Roanoke, and we managed to give it to them. So thanks, Chuck, for that and allowing us the ability to put some smiles on some kids' faces, which I know you love as well as myself. So that was awesome to see. And as I said, great group. We're going to have lots of videos that are upcoming that will depict what the week was like in the best way that we can. Make sure you follow some of those who are up there, whether it be Jim Wilson or Richard Dunlop or Walter or Brad Norris, any of these folks, Dean as well. If you follow them, you will see some of the highlights of what was an incredible week of fishing. And when I say incredible, I think I know what I'm talking about, because I will say, based on the catches that we've had in prior years, and for those who have attended a CFN retreat and done a version of our CFN fish off at our retreats, you'll understand. Sometimes it's not as easy to catch trophy fish on demand, except for this year. Holy smokes. So this is the leaderboard. And if you've been keeping tabs in the last 7-8 days, you will have seen the leaderboard change hands several times. But this was the final tally. This is what came down to the crunch. And as you can see, the separation was inches. It literally was inches. So a big shout out, congratulations to Sarah of Cabin 6. She managed to pull in 77 inches of fish. And of course, as you could tell, it was the combined total of your largest fish. So Sarah's largest batch was 17, 21 and a half for her walleye, 28 and a half for her pike, 10 inches for her perch, 77. But the whole race for all of this was, of course, to become the first crowned Stella Queen or Stella Stud. And Tyler Brooks, who's had many years up there to practice, managed to pull it off. And a big shout out to Tyler for becoming the first ever Stella Stud. And when I say Stella, I'm talking about the Stella Reel. The Stella Reel is basically the crowning achievement of Shimano, in my eyes anyway. There is no better trophy than this reel in itself. And I'll tell you, if I ever won one of these, I would be putting it in a trophy case. I don't believe I would be putting it on the end of my line. So awesome, awesome stuff. So glad to see. Just checking in. You're no Lawrence, Jay. If you're watching, tell me if you got the link, dude. I'm not sure if you got the link. I did send it, so I'm hoping you got it. So yeah, just a little bit sooner than normal because, as I said, we don't see Lawrence. But thanks for checking in, Jay. Also, I got to give a shout out to Joe Sargent and Jim Wilson. And when they showed up with their boat, and anybody that knows Jim Wilson from fishhawk.net, he's a charter captain, so he knows a thing or two. And we'll talk about this in Jim's segment. It was incredible to see someone come in and dissect the lake as quickly as he did. So although Jim didn't win, he fared extremely well. And for his partner, Joe, who's in cabin 2, as well as himself, to go up there and catch a 30.5-inch walleye. We've never had a 30-inch walleye. I think the closest we've come was 27.5. We didn't just catch one. We caught 2 30-inch walleye. Joe, Jim, you guys did friggin' amazing, man. And as I said, you kept me honest. You were the one that I was truly looking to. I knew Tyler was going to do well. Tyler always does well. But for guys like Jim and Joe who have never fished before, and this is another story that I want to get to. You want to talk about what CFN is all about. Hear me out. Jim Wilson ran an ad prior to the CFN retreat at Horwood. Asked if there was anybody that was willing to come and spend a week of fishing up with him. Now, that in itself is an achievement. To be able to do that, knowing full well that you're going to be living with this person for a week, it's a huge tip of the hat to Jim for not only doing that, but Joe, for you stepping up and being the lad you were. Joe caught some incredible fish and has become, a part of a certain percentile that not everybody has caught a 30-inch walleye, but to catch a 30.5-inch walleye during a weekend derby at Horwood Lake Lodge in a lake that does have big fish. Don't get me wrong, but it's rare to see 30. We managed to catch 2. Oof, incredible stuff. So again, big shout out. Thank you to all those who participated. As I said, we've got lots of thank yous coming up, but as it is right now, Tyler Brooks is our Shimano Stella Stud. Awesome. Lloyd, nice to see you, my friend. Always a pleasure to have you along. Of course, if you are looking to book a trip to Horwood Lake Lodge, please go over to their webpage, as Steve has posted here, and they will be awaiting your call. Bruce, you were sadly missed, my friend. Sadly missed, but it was an incredible week, and we are so looking forward to having you up next year. You were still a part of it, Bruce. We mentioned your name. We brought up some really cool stories. So you may not have been there, but you were missed. You were definitely missed. And even though you weren't, we could feel you watching. So with that being said, the first Stella Stud has been crowned. It is now time to crown our second. So Camp McIntosh, I got an email from Tracy today, and there is yet another Stella up for grabs at Camp McIntosh. We are a little more than half full, so we still got lots of room left. If you're looking to win Estella Reel. Join us, Camp McIntosh. There's the information you need. Here is the information you need to get in contact with Andre and Tracy up at Camp McIntosh. And if you need a little bit of a tease to wet your whistle, have a look at this.
And there's a place that I've dreamed of, where I can free my mind. I hear the sounds of the season and lose all sense of time. Feels like we're in a dream, you know what I mean.
There's everything you need to know. That's the information you need to get a hold of Andre and Tracy with. You can email them, you can go to the website, or you can call them direct. At the end of the day, we'd love to have you there, and there is still room for you to join us. So don't delay. I'm sure it's going to fill up very quickly as we draw closer. What also is drawing closer is this incredible event out in Kingston. This isn't the most updated graphic. We do have another one, but I am just thrilled to see the buy-in from the vendors for Labor Day weekend out in Kingston. I think we were over 12 vendors now at the expo, maybe even more than that. But we've got, let's say, a baker's dozen. It's going to be a great show. There's a ton of anglers. It's bass fishing at its finest. We've got some incredible sticks that are going to be joining us there. And I'm looking forward to meeting some folks that are in our industry, like Ron James. Haven't spoke to him in a long time. It's going to be nice to share a mic and the stage with him. Looking forward to that. Also, our tournament is upcoming September 19th to 20th. We're going to be reaching out to the vendors very shortly to confirm. But as I said, it is a go. We're not getting the 80 boat field that we had hoped for, but all the tournaments up there are struggling to get a full field. But we will have enough to make it worthy of a great event. It just might change how the cash is paid out at the end of it. But looking forward to that. And if you want to be like Ramackles, if you want to help out in a way like our good friend Chris Bain does at Junction Jigs, or any of our other wonderful sponsors who are doing some fantastic work to help promote this event, by all means, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to have you booked up there. So looking forward to that. And of course, the Made in Canada Expo that we always do. Truly, it's going to be exciting. Going to be really exciting, and we're looking forward to it. So stay tuned for more updates. It is now time to talk to the one and only Big Jim McLaughlin.
When he was born, he tried to reel in the umbilical cord. Bass named him as their personal best. His power pole came with a stripper. Forward-facing sonar uses him to find fish. Chuck Norris is his co-angler. He is the most interesting fisherman in the world. Stay fishing, my friends.
Yo, yo.
How you doing, big guy?
Doing good. Could be worse. Not much.
You look fantastic, I might add. I'm just texting. Go ahead. I'm just texting Jay just to let him know that he'll be up next.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good, buddy.
I have to say, Jim, I was blown away by the fact that, quality fish like we caught up at Horwood were caught. But it goes to show, you talk about the knowledge, you talk about the experience, time on the water. I can't say enough about Jim Wilson just as an individual because of what he did for Joe, bringing him up there, not knowing who he was, and basically thrilled him with a week of fishing that they were all personal bests for him. But the fact that he had that lake dialed in 2 days, he knew exactly where to go, and I was keeping an eye on him throughout the lake, and every time I turned around, he'd be like, "Oh, good spot, Jim, good spot." And he was finding all this basically on his own. I don't know what research he had done prior to going up there, but a lot of it was just time on the water. And does it ever pay off?
Well, he spent a lot of time on the water in the last few years, right?
Yeah.
Like he spends basically the whole summer fishing. So you spend the whole summer fishing. It comes. You just eventually you just start to get more fish, and it's showing out for them. And
It
he spends
was
a lot
it
of
was
time on big water trolling and stuff like that.
yeah.
So it's good for him. Hey, Erica, you're
It
catching
was
too many fish.
yeah. Yes, absolutely, Richard. A big shout out, thank you to Pal Cassies, and I said we will get to all these wonderful thank yous to those who helped with our shirts, and Kenzie did a fantastic job getting the Horwood Lake commemorative T-shirts done. So as I said, there are so many people that we need to thank. We will do so and make sure that we do properly. But yeah, just an absolutely fantastic. But as I said, Jim. It first started with this misconception that, without live, you're not going to be able to compete. And those who had it, it helped. There's no doubt about it. But for a guy like Jim, what it really did, and you can attest to this, is all of that time that you used to spend on the water pre-fishing, it's made you a more efficient angler now because you don't have to spend, and you certainly don't even have to prick some of these fish. You can literally just boat around a lake and find out where they're hanging out.
Yeah, see, that's one of the big complaints they have with a lot of the young ones, a lot of the older guys in the States in the tournaments, is that there's no paying your dues anymore. You go out, you turn it on, you drive around until you see a fish. Now, mind you, there was a lot of there's a lot of forward-facing sonar units out there where guys, on the weekend they had another tournament here on FLW was over on the St. Lawrence game, and there was a lot of guys there, 8 pounds, 10 pounds, guys that have got 3-4 screens at the front of their boat. And when that happens on the St. Lawrence, I mean, that is undeniably the number one smallmouth fishery in the world. And I mean, when you see what went on there, I mean, you look at Eric Luzak, 26 pounds the first day, 31 pounds the second day. Like bringing in 5-6 pound smallmouths, yeah. Well, they weren't all sixes, but he had a 612 and a 714.
So I wanted to talk to you about this because, as I said, I know this is in your own backyard.
And then he brings 17 on the last day.
Like, unbelievable. So I'm going to read you a little snippet, and this is from MLF in Messina, New York. The St. Lawrence River has earned a reputation as the nation's premier smallmouth tournament fishery for a reason. It produced some massive bags of brown bass through the years. None has ever measured up to Eric's Day 2 at the Toyota Series presented by Phoenix Boats event. Luzak brought a ridiculous, as they call, dirty 30 to the stage, 31 pounds, 5 ounces of smallmouth to the scales. Friday, it's the first time in history, MLF/FLW, that an angler has topped 30 pounds with 5 fish on the St. Lawrence. Unbelievable. Incredible.
It's not even close to the record. It's a couple of pounds away, eh?
Wow. And how much time would Eric have spent on this body of water?
Oh, he's fished there a lot, but
Does he?
I don't think he spent he's a really good guy too. I don't think he spent a lot of time just fun fishing, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
It's like tournament practice days and tournaments. Like unless he goes and he doesn't he doesn't mention that he's out there. But there was a couple of guys got on there. This wouldn't happen without forward facing sonar. So I did a little bit of research, and I phoned Charles Sims, who was the first person to ever get a 30 in a tournament. And I said to him, "How long ago was that?" He said 2008. So that was before forward facing sonar existed. So then I phoned what's his name there, Dan from Great Lakes Finesse.
Mm-hmm.
He said, when you weighed almost 33 pounds, I think it was he weighed,
Mm-hmm.
two and high change, I think. I said, did you catch any, those fish with forward-facing sonar? And he said, nope, every one of them I spied and caught, watched them in the water.
Yeah.
In the shallow water and caught them, So he said, do I use it? Yeah. But no, when we caught those fish, every one we caught. I said, yeah, because if you watch Dan's videos too, almost every one of them, they're shallow fishing, they're sight fishing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not staring at a screen. So
Mm-hmm.
it can be done both ways. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I was shocked at that tournament at some of the people that did not do well. that I would, and when I say did not do well, they weighed 15, 17, 18 pounds, not 3.5 pound average. That's, that could be done before the smallmouth boom happens, but that river's had 7, I think, major tournaments on it this year, probably 12, 15 smaller ones, like local things, like bass clubs, still 100 guys out there flogging it that know how to catch fish and that kind of thing. And it's still kicking out giant bags, And I asked one of my buddies who was out there the other day, he doesn't really fish tournaments. And I said, "How'd you make out?" He said, I had a really good day for numbers.
Yeah.
I said, "What's a really good day?" And he said, I think he said 33.
Jeez.
And I said to him, how many of those fish had hook marks in them? And he said, not one. And he checks, just like I always check. You fish with me and heard me comment about it often. There's no hook mark in it, So that means that fish has never been caught unless it was snagged for tail or something but that.
Well, again, to Eric, as I said, well done, my friend. You certainly proved to all of us yet again how incredible of a fishery the St. Lawrence is for smallmouth and for all species.
High point of his career too, he said.
That's awesome. You can
no offense, but the best tournament day he's ever had in his life.
And a shout out to the MC. He did a fantastic job selling the event of the little snippet of video that I did see. Jim, thanks for joining us tonight, my friend. You will want to go back about 5 minutes earlier and listen in. We pumped your tires pretty good, dude. But if you are listening, I'm still amazed at how quickly you figured out that lake. Horwood is a big beast. It's got lots of humps, lots of contour. But Jim, you proved that a good angler can get it done. So congratulations to you for that. Jim, I got to ask you, how much tannic water have you fished?
A good bit.
Good bit.
I've had some pretty wild experiences in it, with that time when I did the show with Mark Pendlington from BC. There, he flew me up into where did I fly into? Oh, I forget where it was I flew into, but some little town in the middle of nowhere type thing, one street, and we flew in there, and then we ended up, the place we were supposed to go to, they couldn't get access because something changed with logging trucks, and the way they have the logging roads with the lights. On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they're all red going in, green coming out, and kind of things, because those trucks barrel along those roads, and we couldn't get the access that we wanted, because then we had to stay for, I think it was 4 days, and he didn't have the time to stay for 4 days, plus we'd have been getting eaten by mosquitoes about the size of seagulls for 4 days. So
sounds like you were in Hearst.
Way up, or we drove way up to the edge of the BC coast, and just into BC, some little town. You're literally like from here to the water behind my house across the border, and there's a boat launch at this little lake, and we get there, and I look over it. It's really, really beautiful. I look in the water, and I looked at it, and I said to him, I wonder if that's deep. And he said, I don't think so. And he took a stick and poked it in, and it went down about this far.
Wow.
You couldn't see the bottom of the water, and it was tannic. And then I probably told you this story before. We're fishing for walleyes, and I started fishing with a shad trap, one of the ones that's a chartreuse on the back with the ivory belly, to get some good visibility in the water. And I could hold that on the rod tip under the water, like reel it right up to the top and push it into the water. And I could see the first guide, but I couldn't see the shad trap. It was gone. So after we caught a whole bunch of fish, I said to myself, I'm going to try a rattle bait here. So I got out a rattle bait. I forget what it was, but I got one out, and I thought it was a good color for in this lake and everything else. And I literally caught a walleye every cast I took for like 2 minutes. And then we had drifted over a bit, and he said he had fished in this area before, and he said, I think it gets shallower way over there. So we're drifting along, not really paying attention to it. And all of a sudden, the motor hits the bottom. Like, we're just drifting. But you couldn't see that you had gone from 8-9 feet of water into like 3 and 4. And now we're in 2. 2.5 feet of water, dead calm, sunny day, bright sunny day. I'm casting a rattle bait out and catching a 1.5 pound, 2 pound walleye every cast. And they're black.
Wow.
You
Go
know,
figure.
that kind of thing. I mean, we could have stayed, we could have probably, it would be like going up to one of the places way, way, way up north that doesn't get touched. You can catch 150 in a day if you don't know what you're doing. And, you know, you can catch 300 if you know what you're doing. I had a guy that's Kisagami years ago, like 20 years ago, sent me a picture of a counter and it was at 200. And I said, wow, 200 fish in the boat. He said, no, 200 fish, one guy.
Wow.
Yeah. He stayed up to like, he was out at like 6:30 in the morning and came in at like 6:30 at night, but he caught 200 walleyes.
That's unreal.
Yeah. Biggest one was 4 pounds, but
we've had 100 fish days up at Horwood. It's not
Yeah.
it's not out of the question. But it's again another fishery that amazes the heck out of me. It is pressured for a northern lake. It's got a lot of pressure on it, but it continues to pump out as we saw quality fish as well as numbers. We had a wonderful fish fry almost every night. There was the one night that we didn't do it. I think we were all pretty banged up and beat up and tired from the day and the rain that day. So we shut her down a little earlier on the Tuesday, but we had a nice fish fry every single night. It was great to have the folks, new and old, join us around the fire, exchange some stories, get to know one another, and share a laugh or three. It was awesome.
Nice.
But that tannic water, Jim, over the years that you fished it, what are some of your go-to colors?
black, gold. Yeah.
I noticed that with the underspin, if you had a chrome underspin, it wasn't as productive as a gold-plated underspin.
Gold,
in that
there's
tannic.
something about gold and tannic water. I don't know the technical science on it, but there's definitely something to it.
It was definitely more productive when it comes to colors. Pink worked. It was one of those colors that worked. White worked really, really well.
See, that's not a strong tannic up there, though. It's tannic, but it's not that strong.
It's not black, like it's not like a black, but it's pretty. It's
like when you
pretty
stand
thick.
on the dock, can you see the bottom?
In about a foot of water, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, about maybe 2 feet. 2 feet of water, you can see it. But what you just described, that's what I would call like chocolate milk. That's soup. That's
right there. The only trees you could see up around this lake were evergreens about 25 feet high, and that's all it was. And then that spongy moss on the ground. You know what it's like in northern lakes. It's just all it was, eh? And I think the deepest spot in the lake was like 20 feet, maybe 20 feet, and it was just a big basin in the middle. And we even tried dragging jigs out there twice in the afternoon for about an hour and got nothing. The fish just don't live there. They live up close, and they probably have to go higher up. Maybe there's no light down below. There's nothing lives. I don't know.
Yeah, Jim's sharing some others. Purple was a definite big color up there. Purple back, yellow stripe crankbaits. I believe we used a y'all-eye moon eye.
Purple's always worked in that tannic water too.
Yep, purple worked. We had a NASCAR that had many colors. Chris Yalowicka from Y'all-Eye Lures. It was one of his baits that produced a lot of fish as well. I've tried just about everything up there. Jigging, bottom bouncing, spinner baits, inline spinners. The one thing that I have not tried that I was told by the owner works really, really well, and I can't wait to get back up there to try it myself, is a jigging wrap. Never tried it up there, but he's
jigging wrap's the #1 selling walleye lure in the world.
Yeah.
I tell it to people and they say, but I don't ice fish. I said, well, you need to get educated then.
Yeah. It's the one bait I have not used up there that I confirmed with Warren when I was up there last week. It slays
Because
fish.
of how fast you fish it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're fishing it so fast, you cover so much water. The odds of you coming to an active fish are really good. That's why guys like they get the fluff and they go out and they try to fish with it. And I try to explain to them, no, you don't. That's for when you can see fish visually or on a forward-facing sonar. Then you get it out to them, because it's so slow to do. The jigging wrap is probably like probably the fastest approach that I know to fish, period. I mean, I've caught the heck out of them over on Mississippi Lake here by, outside of Ottawa. And I've had guys come over to me and say to me, and ask me in a boat, do you mind me ask what you guys are doing? I'd be guiding and I'd have everybody throw in a jigging rap. It's July 15th. People think you're nuts.
Yeah.
But boy, they just tear them up.
Well, don't be too upset with me that I haven't tried it, but it's I've even tried the Tokyo rig, Jim. I remembered what
What's
that was. That's, yeah, exactly. I've tried that. Oh, we're going down a rabbit hole. That we are. I promise I won't bring it up again.
It's the new one, the finesse. I had a guy come here one day, a buddy of mine, begging to get some on a Sunday morning. He was going down to St. Lawrence, and he's got an area that they drag for smallmouth, and it doesn't get snagged, and that's why he wanted to do it, right?
So I guess that was the reason I've thought in the past not to use it, just because a jigging rap, it does have quite a few hooks on it, and with all the wood at the bottom of Horwood, you do have a tendency to get snagged every once in a while. But I will say, I based on what I saw in a certain area this past week, I can't wait to get back up there next year and try the jigging rap. So I'm looking forward to
18,
that.
25 feet deep, rocks on the bottom, little bit of weed here and there. Doesn't even need weed. Oh,
Love it.
good old days.
Love it. I also want to thank you too. You managed to. I know you don't like doing this, but I have to give a shout out to you as well. That twin power that I grabbed off you. What a beautiful reel, dude. What a
You
beautiful...
kept that?
What's that?
You kept that? I thought I don't know. I was just lending.
Oh,
it.
you're pulling my chain, you dog.
I had you, didn't I?
You had me for a second, I'll tell you. Holy
half a
shit.
second.
Yeah, that reel, dude. What a gem. What a beautiful reel that is.
And yet you compare that now to what they've done to the twin power reel. And if you had the two in your hands, you'd die the difference.
Wow.
Yeah.
George is, I think he's correcting us here. You may be confusing high dissolved organic carbon for what you call tannic water. I don't know. Could we? Could I? I'm not sure, George. Horwood
Would that be me, George, more because of how bad it was up there?
Yeah, that might be the case. Because I will say, Horwood is
there was nothing in the water. Like, we kept a couple in the live well to get some pictures, and when the water was in the live well, it was really clear. We only had it like this deep, and the live well's all silver in the boat, so it shows up. It's not doesn't have that same effect. Still looked yellow in there.
Yeah,
like muddy colored. No, not mud. It was like greeny yellowish color to it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe it might be different, George. But as I will say,
hey, come on, George, don't leave us laying here.
Yeah, you're leaving us hanging here. But tannic water to me is what Horwood Lake Lodge, Horwood Lake has always been. It's what I've referred it to, and it looks a lot similar to the other tannic lakes that I've been on. So unless I've got it wrong, and I've been wrong before.
No, I think you're 100% right. It could be me that's wrong with that one up there.
Oh, okay. Okay, sounds good. But yeah, some of the colors that we talked about, purples are good, blacks are good, white's really good. I find pink does well as well. But in that tannic acid,
you got sitting here.
Yeah.
I bet you something like that right there.
Oh, lights out.
That gold blade.
Lights out. Yeah.
That would just be killer. And you could probably even go to a Colorado blade on that, and it would it'd be really nice. That's that spinner from Jacked Up Jigs. It's really, really nice. I love that. I used it out back here a little bit, and it's absolutely amazing. And that's that new the bait with Cooper's name on it.
Oh,
what's it called? Perfect Zone. I forget. Cooper's Minnow or something. Well, hang on, find out for sure. The Rally Shad.
The Rally Shad. Yes, I heard about that.
It's designed by Cooper Gallant, but it's a really cool look. And I've always been a big fan of flat tails like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked that stuff, but that's the That's it there.
That's sweet. Right on.
I was trying to match this up for out back because I know that like mustardy, orangey, that was the closest I could come to it,
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe it works, maybe it doesn't.
I will say, and all of us noticed it. And again, because it's a pressured lake, I guess it's to be expected. I've never seen the fish so shy and spooked by boats as I did this year. Some have suggested that perhaps LiveScope may have done this. I'm not 100% sure because even with the 2D sonar that we had on the lodge boats, you could tell you'd come over top of a school, and very quickly you'd have maybe 1-2 drops. You get bit. If you were lucky, you'd haul in on the second one. After that, they would move, and you would have to move.
Maybe they're not getting bothered as much as they usually do. Like, were all those places full up there this year?
They were. I mean, the area that we fish is Hardeman Bay, which is sort of off on its own, and we always seem to find great numbers of fish, good quality fish in Hardeman Bay, which is just one arm of Horwood. But to your point, yes, they've been busy. The camp's been busy and full. But as I said, when you went over top of that, and it didn't really matter. Like, we were down by Jesus Rock, which was a good 20-minute boat ride from the lodge, 15-20-minute boat ride, depending on what you have on the back. And even those fish, you could tell when you went over top of them, they would hold there for a few seconds and then realize that you are what you are, and they would just move.
How far are you from them?
We are in 30 feet of water.
And the fish are where? On the bottom?
Right on the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on the bottom.
They usually don't spook at that depth.
You wouldn't think so. That's why, as I said, it grabbed all of us. It grabbed all of our attention because it's not something we typically see.
I've done stuff like that in the boat, and I was out one day with Rocky, and we found a bunch of fish.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to them, they were in the Ottawa River. We were not tournament fishing, we were fun fishing. And I says, hey, watch this. And I had done this the week before with a guy, and we were in a little tin boat. And I said to him, watch this. And we could see them on the flasher, plain as day. All the red marks milling around. They were there plain as day, up, down, in and out. You could see them. They were going on the dialect. And I dropped the pliers in the boat, and immediately they were gone.
Wow.
They were gone. And they were at about 27. That was the spot I used to fish in the Ottawa. They're all walleyes. They're all 2 to 5 pounds. And like the dial just went calm. They were gone.
Interesting.
We always talk about how noise.
Yeah.
That's the old example that they use. And that's why we did it, And I said, I did this last week with a guy. I showed it to him. Then 10 minutes back, they were like 10 minutes later, they were all back. They just shoot off and come back in,
Right.
It sort of spooks them, but it just goes to prove that they do hear it. Have you ever gone underneath a boat and listened to sonar?
No, but I bet we were talking about LiveScope.
It's an aggravating sound.
It is an aggravating sound, and I've been in an ice hut with LiveScope, and it is it's not deafening, but you know it's working because the sound it gives off in the hut is extremely apparent. So I can only imagine what a fish is listening to.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's.
What have they got now?
You know what it reminds me of? Anybody who's watched that Saturday night clip with Will Ferrell, more cowbell. We got to have more cowbell. Like that's literally what it sounds like when you're inside a fish hut.
Oh, they must be country western fan, not rock and roll fan. The Cowboys use a cowbell? I don't know. Do they?
You can never have enough cowbell. That's all I remember. It was a great skit, great skit. But as I said, for the fish, you can if I can hear it in a hut, plain as day, I can't imagine what they're listening to down on the water.
But then again, I say to myself, what is it?
Yeah, the
fish has to think about it, and that'll bring me back to my beliefs.
Yeah. And Jim is no different than most anglers like yourself. Yeah, you're at an elite level in terms of what the knowledge you have, and all the hours that you have on the water. But what LiveScope truly does for anglers is it doesn't necessarily make you a better angler, but it certainly makes you more efficient. What would have typically taken someone like myself, who is a novice angler compared to you two, probably would have taken me the whole week to figure out a lake. I would have found 3 or 4 spots, but not like Jim covered so much water, and Live Scope allowed him to do that. In fact, there was one back bay that Richard talks about and goes to on a regular basis to go after that big pike that he always seems to hook. And Jim came into the back bay, scoured the area, and then left. And Richard was left going, well, does that mean there's not a big fish in here? Like, am I wasting my time?
It just means you didn't see it.
You didn't see it, yeah. But it certainly made him a more efficient angler, and he got it dialed in pretty quickly. And as I said, it was awesome to see the positiveness, the positive aspects of life.
I was talking to my buddy Travis yesterday morning about that, and he was out in the St. Lawrence on I think it was Friday, and he said to me, he went up onto this spot, and he didn't see a single fish. He said the water was like a bathtub. So
yeah.
It's calm, 6 feet deep. He's looking at rock and boulders just everywhere along the back of one of the big islands. And he says, I'm looking at the forward-facing sonar, and it's showing nothing. I don't see a thing. And it's showing nothing too. And there's one boulder, and he throws a rock over by it. And here comes about a 5.5-pound smallmouth, just swims out from beside the rock. Was right up against the rock. He couldn't visually see it, and the sonar couldn't see it either. Swam out and ate his jig. He said promptly jumped and sent it back to me. But he said it was right there. He's 35 feet away from it.
Wow.
And he couldn't see it, and the forward-facing sonar didn't see it because it was too close to the rock. So you wonder how many times stuff like that happens.
100%. And I will. When it came to the smallmouth fishing, Jim, it was literally 3-1. It was 3-1 smallies to any other. Well, for me anyway, any other species. And as I said, to get the quality of fish caught, we had a 15, a 16, a 15.5, 17, and 18. Now I know that body of water has a 20-inch bass in it, and I know that only because Walter caught it last year at the retreat. But there's a lot of big fish. I wouldn't necessarily say trophy, but certainly trophy for that body of water that far north. They've done very, very well.
Yeah, they would never. I don't think they would ever get the weight up there that they get in a place like the St. Lawrence or the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
So you don't have the food source, right?
True enough.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You saw that smallmouth, those 2 smallmouths that Eric had. I mean, it was the one on the left that was the big one. Eh?
That's crazy.
Just the way they were being held. That fish must have been this thick.
No kidding.
Well, I told you the first one that I ever caught on a spy bait was 712.
Wow.
First one I ever caught on a spy bait. And I mean, that fish was like this long and like this big. You know what I mean?
Jeez.
It's because of the food.
Yeah.
They just get, they just get absolutely just giant. I've never broke 8 pounds, but that's the closest I got. But I watched that fish swim through between, I think it was 4 or 5 others. It was hanging way in the back, about 15 feet behind them. And it just swam right up really quick, was right with the other ones, all following it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first cast I ever took with an eye prop.
Wow.
Wanted to see if it really worked, Little did I know what was coming up here, because nobody had used them here yet.
Wow.
And now there's guys out there that have, Plano 3700s with 50 of them in it. You know what I mean? It's amazing. And it's still an absolute sleeper for crappie fishing. Absolute sleeper.
Awesome, man. That's awesome stuff. Well, what have you got planned for this week? I know.
Tomorrow morning I have to go for a ride back after being up in. Did I tell you what I told you? I told you about going to the Heart Institute today.
Yeah.
So my doctor wanted to get whatever it was done of me to have as a background in case anything should ever happen.
Yeah.
And the lady told me that my heart, I had it done back in 2016. I didn't even remember it. And that's kind of strange. But anyways, I guess that happens when you get older. I actually remember going to the building once, because it's a completely different building into the Heart. The Heart. It's just a wondrous place too. Everybody is so helpful.
Good.
It's scary. Everybody was so helpful. It's scary. But yeah, she told me my heart, the rhythm of my heart is exactly the same as it was nine years ago, I guess it is now. And she said the doctor wanted to check was the compression on my heart, how hard it squeezes when it pumps. And I had gone down 2 points. So that was like, and because it was so strong to begin with, she said that was nothing. So that just sort of gets back to the same old thing about having some pump for my heart. And my heart rate was, I think it was 59 when I was there, she said. So
Wow, that's low.
That's like, yeah, really slow. It doesn't have to pump much. That means I'm clean.
Yeah.
There's nothing in me. So that's good.
That is good.
Get that done, make the doctor happy. I had to leave here at 4:00 in the morning to be there for the appointment.
Jeez.
But yeah, we did that. And then I got to go. I forgot to drop something off today. I got to run back up to Smith Falls in the morning or up toward Rideau Ferry, drop it off. It was a prize for a thing that's happening on Wednesday. So I got to get that to them. And then Wednesday, I'm going to go to the mothership, because when I went last Friday, I ended up not going up because nobody was there. They were all working remotely. Probably on Rice Lake remote. No,
I was just gonna say, are we pulling the cat out of the bag?
Remote Rice.
Yeah, we're pulling the cat out of the bag, dude.
Yeah,
nothing better than to throw those who sponsor us under the bus. Yeah, great idea.
I got Bob. Did you hear that? No. And I got. Oh, it's here. Sorry. No, but we got. I got some stuff to drop off there, and then what have I got Thursday? Oh, Thursday I have to work on the fall issue with Just Fishing, and then I got to do that Friday too, and then Friday afternoon I got to mosey over to Brockville to the Brick. I bought a new bed. I hadn't had a new bed in a few years, and I needed one. It's amazing how good I've slept since I got the new mattress.
Nice.
Yeah, so pretty good. But the problem is the bed frame, and the guy sold it to me as 2 different units, and I guess he broke a rule about measuring. And the bed was so high that I had to get a wooden platform. I had to tap a big thing online to get into the bed. So, like, I'm not a little person. I'm not short. And I had a hard time. I could not get my butt on the edge of the bed. That's how high it was. So I called the guy. They've agreed to take the frame back. He said they usually don't, but he said it's brand new and everything. So they'll just use it as a demo in the store, They have no problem that way. And I could just they're going to pick another one. They know what the mattress is, and we know that it has to be 18 to 20 inches, which is, it's funny. I have so much strength to get up from that position because all the stuff I do at the gym is on a 20-inch cube.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, every time I stand up, it's from that position.
Right.
But I have to stand up. This thing adds 7 inches, and when I get up on it, my butt barely makes the bed.
Jeez.
So it has to go. I've been struggling for a couple of weeks there. And then I told you today is, if you're wondering what this is, oh my God, the UPS guy left the package at the door, and I just rolled the chair, opened the door, reached out, and I caught my hand on the brick, and it just peeled the skin off the back of my hand.
Yummy.
Just getting old sucks. I just got the other one healed here from when the kids.
I know. You
when
just
the
had
grandkids
that.
slammed my hand in the door. Like, oh.
What? How's the out back? I haven't asked you about the back 40.
It's horrible. I got out there a couple of times the other night there, and I haven't seen a fish out there. It's so caught with weed and overtop junk and everything. Now it was 9 degrees here yesterday morning.
Yeah. And
the wind's been blowing from the north here like 35, 40 kilometers all day, and it's blown it all up into the back and spread it out a bit, all the stuff on the surface. There's a lot of open water, but I noticed it started to calm down there, and we ate dinner, and I was in the living room there just before I came back here, and I looked out, and it's already starting to spread back out, But I have pictures from September, I think it was 3rd. It was like pretty well half gone. So it'll take a few more cold nights, and it'll start dying off, and then you'll start catching fish. It doesn't take them long to start to use it again. It doesn't take them long to start to use it at all. So
that's good.
Hopefully. But they never brought the weed thing this year for the docks here. If I was renting a dock at the marina, I'd be pissed.
Can you even get into the slips?
Oh yeah. Because it's just crop on the top,
Okay.
Like the slips over there are 8-9 feet deep under them,
Okay.
So there's lots of room, and it's just crud floating on the top in those little dollar pads, which are great for largemouths. I mean, They hide them, but like they hide underneath that right up close to the shore. And the water's starting to drop a little bit here. Starting to drop a little bit. It's probably down about from the top of the seawall. Now it's probably down about a foot since the spring. So I think it's just about where it's supposed to be because, hey, we're coming to September, right?
It's not, and that's the thing. I can't believe how fast this summer has flown by.
Well, it started late, eh?
It sure did. Steve's saying it's curra frog time, Jim.
Oh, speaking of that, I got a nice package. Nico from American Bait Works, he used to work at S Pro. He said, I was talking to him the other day about being out back. So he says to me, because he works for American Bait Works for Robert, and he sent me over a nice little care package of all the new snag proof stuff, that new frog they have with the tail on the back.
Oh, wow.
It's really nice. And that tail, I tried to pull it off and it didn't want to come off. So it's, you know me about destroying stuff to find out how good it is. But there was all different types. You can see there's ones that look like poppers, which I thought was really, really cool. There's some of those that are bigger too. He said he didn't have many kick. Yeah, see, like you can see the size of that thing in the box. It's a fair sized bait. And then he sent me a different colored one too.
Sweet.
It's kind of cool. Look, if you reel it along the top, that tail wobbles really nice. And of course, he had to send me the old black snag proof frog.
Yeah.
But there was
and this is American Bait Works. These are
yeah. There was some here that are a little bit bigger. That's a lot bigger, sort of like a spook, eh?
Mm-hmm.
But I look forward to giving some of this stuff a shot. I really like. I just like the looks of that one there. The size of it looks perfect to me. It's got the little feather at the tail at the. But I got it in the truck right now. But I've been using the Kiera frog that has the two little blades at the back, right at the back of the hook now, and that's just the noise that thing makes. You could actually, when you sit out there and it's just before it's dark and you give it a little twitch at the side of the water, if you listen, you can hear it because it clacks against the hooks and everything. So it definitely gives them something to move along. Works really good.
Steve has it identified. It is a wake bait, and it certainly wakes up all of the bass.
Yeah, if you reel it along the top, that little tail starts to wiggle at the back. Eh?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. I don't know what it's made of, but it don't want to come off. So that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. I think the way it's designed, this little fin on the top actually starts to crunch down to move the plastic right away from the hook. And the hooks are sharp. So, but it's cool stuff.
Beautiful.
He's a good guy. He's a great guy. And of course, my heart's always with Mr. Greenberg. He's a great guy. He's an absolute gem in my books. Been very helpful to me in my life on several occasions without being solicited. And Minto, the company, the family, they supported the pond in Ottawa had to be like 15 years, and they supported it in a big way. They used to have that pond landscape with a bridge in the middle for the kids to walk over and all kinds of stuff like that. Then somebody complained about the bridge not being safe; a kid could fall off it, and that was the end of that. So. We only lost about 18 kids that year, though, so it was okay.
That's okay.
The troll came out from underneath the bridge and got them. When I said that to the lady, she wasn't impressed with me. I said to her, no, we don't have a troll under the bridge. You don't have to worry. And I got a look. I can imagine. It wasn't me, thank God. That song my kids just listen to, She's Got the Look. Yeah, amen. Her name started with a K. Right on, Jim. Well, listen, thanks again for all your time. It's great to be back. We'll be back at this again next Monday. Looking forward to talking to you again. And I look forward to seeing you next weekend, too. Next weekend is. Amen, brother. Amen. 100%. Yeah, I'm there Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. Oh, you're there both days now? Yeah, I got the grandkids. I was supposed to be there Saturday morning for the blast off, but I can't now because all the grandkids are going to be here and everything. And so I'll be there. What is it? 8 to 10 and 10 to 12, or 8 to 10 and 12 to 2. Yeah. So I'll be there for that. So they'll have to get a golf cart to ferry me around, hopefully. But all good, buddy. That's what it is. Looking forward to it, dude. You have yourself a great week. Moose told me he has a Yeti chair for me. Oh, Moose. I'll have to give him a big Jim hug.
Right on, brother.
Rounding up.
You take care of yourself. You have a great week.
Be good, kiddies. Catch some
stay
fish.
away from the bricks. Stay away from the bricks. We got Jay Barnucz coming up right after a word from the sponsor.
A fear of failure is failure itself. The world of science rewards the ones who are willing to try and fail. Because without the courage to embrace failure, ideas remain ideas. But with that courage to fail and to learn, ideas can change the world.
There he is, Jay Dogs in the house. How you doing, Jay?
This thing working? Haven't had it on for a while. What's going on? What's going on, man?
No kidding, dude. I have to give a tip of the hat to your company as well. We had a good variety of baits up there, and we want to spend a little bit of time because I spent a little bit of time with the flicker minnow, and of course, Crush City's new plastics. I had a perch pattern that I used up there that it did very, very well. We were certainly pumping our POW plastics with some of the Made in Canada folks, and of course Brad was completely over generous with all of his plastics, and everybody put good use to them. But every once in a while I would troll with the flicker minnow, and I would throw on those Crush City baits. Oh, you guys make good stuff, I will say that.
Dude, I know I take a lot of abuse from certain people on this show, George, but listen, man, there's some things that are just classic baits that Berkeley's made, right? The flicker minnow is a classic bait that Berkeley's catches a lot of fish on, man. And especially for walleye guys. I don't care what anyone says. Flicker minnows are one of the most popular ones. And, and some of the colors they've come out with, and what's nice, man, is they're affordable. They're affordable baits. Anyone can buy them. It's great, man. I love it. So
what's, if in that tannic water, what is your go-to presentation? What do you like using in that tannic water?
You know what, man? I'm still a sucker for whatever they're feeding on.
Yeah.
So I know that on Erie and places they'll throw purple and all kinds of other colors, and those are fine. But man, up in Horwood, those fish are eating a lot of Cisco's and similar types of bait, right? Because it's a big enough lake. Now, not all lakes up there have Cisco, but Horwood is big enough that I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 90% sure there's Cisco in that lake.
There is,
or there's smelt, because those lakes up there, a lot of them have been introduced, and there's remnant population. So I'm still going to throw, and that's what the flicker minnows imitate really well. I haven't done a lot of walleye fishing in my life, but any place I've been up in that sort of, basically once you're sort of into that Arctic watershed, once you get north of that certain point, I've always done well with Cisco imitating baits, especially when you're dealing in water, deeper than 20 feet, 30 feet. Those aren't often perch in those lakes. A lot of times it's Cisco. So silvers, but purples work good, because you get that kind of purple sheen, silver sheen. Gold. Jim mentioned gold. That's another color that I like. Actually, a very common bait fish in those lakes up in that sort of northeastern Ontario is fall fish. Hugely common bait, and they're large, very large. So don't be afraid to run bigger baits. I've caught a lot of fish on baits to imitate fall fish. A lot of the fall fish will be up shallower, and then the Cisco's are out deeper, and they're large silver scales on a fall fish. For folks on the call, fall fish is the same genus as creek chub. It can grow significantly larger than a creek chub. I've seen them upwards of 3 and 4 pounds fall fish. But in those lakes up there, I can remember going up to the Goyne Reservoir in some sort of, I call it northern Quebec. It's not. It's more central Quebec. And fall fish has always been imitating fall fish and of Cisco for sure.
Awesome stuff. Well, as I said, I did a little bit of research for the number of years I've been up there, and the underspins The go-to color is gold. I'm not really sure why, as opposed to the chrome. They seem to do a lot better with the gold. And plastic colors, I mean, our go-tos are natural. It's natural colors.
Yeah.
Whites are really good. Chartreuse does work. Yellow works. Black works. Purple, as you mentioned. Pink is another color. Not a lot of folks use it, but when they do, they realize how good it can be. But
I think, like, I was listening in. I won't lie to you. I was at the gym listening to Jim. And like you're talking about Jim while you were talking to Jim. I kept getting confused because I know Jim Wilson. I'm just teasing, but yeah, like hearing you talk about that, and one thing I've really learned the last couple of years is color is helpful, but man, finding fish is so critical. Like if you can find fish, you can get them to bite. Like I'm not always, but finding fish is the hardest part. And color helps, but I think finding fish is so critical. And hearing you talk about Jim, I can remember in my early sort of when I started walleye fishing, I was probably in my early 20s, like going to like Shield Lakes, like up north, and doing like sort of at the same latitude as Horwood, right? In that sort of area, you're fishing these Shield Lakes, deep Shield Lakes. And dude, a lot of my buddies I went with, they had been going with families. My family never did that kind of walleye fishing, so I'm used to Erie, right? So the first couple of years I went up there, everyone just anchored and jig with a leech, whatever.
Yep.
And once in a while I drag a worm harness, and I found the jigging got really boring. Like, dude, it bored the hell out of me, especially you're in a small rental boat at an outfitter and you're literally anchored and jigging. And other than we might have a couple of pops and tell some stories, dude, 7 days of that, no good.
And I can't do it myself. I'll be the first one that everyone knows. Even if I am jigging, the boat is always moving, and more so this year than any other year, simply because, as I mentioned with Jim, how skittish the fish were with the boats.
Yeah, you got to cover that water, right? You got to keep it moving. And man, the first thing I figured out up there was actually I went to trolling crankbaits with inline weights, right? So rigging up a line counter and like a 1 ounce inline weight. So you take like a number 9 flicker shad and you drop an inline weight on it. And it's not the same as, like, you can use the trolling charts. When you're using just sort of I was using like just an ugly stick because we're backcountry, right? So we got to pack light. So I'm using a 7-foot ugly stick with a line counter, which was great. Without the line counter, you know how many snags I got? Oh my God. Like, at least with the line counter, I could control it a bit. And we caught lots of fish with the crankbait. But when I got on, and again, I'm going to call myself amateur walleye angler at best in those Shield Lakes. The best thing for me was a stinking worm harness on a bottom bouncer. And why it was great was covering water. I could be very precise. Like, we're running, so we were always fishing 20 feet to as deep as 30, but let's say 20, 25. A 3 ounce bottom bouncer, which at first I thought was crazy. But when I realized that it can go straight down and I can turn on, I'm back trolling. Now listen, I'm in a crappy rental boat. I'm getting wet all day. In fact, dude, I'd be driving and bailing because there's choppy water. Do you know what I'm saying, right?
I know exactly.
But the fishing was so good. Like, I would mark fish. I had a hummingbird piranha, like number 4 or something like that, right? And so I would mark a few fish on a break line and I might get one. And then I would just do a loop. I had a handheld GPS. I would do a loop in the boat and I could turn, like, I would only go 20 more yards and then I would just turn around and I would do these figure eights over that break with that 3 ounce bottom bouncer, and we would just smash them. And then I figured out, well, why would I use live bait? I'm just going to hook a gulp crawler on that harness. And dude, I was literally like, so what am I using? Main line, I'm using like, I don't know, 15-pound mono main line. And then I'm running like, whatever, 10-pound fluoro or 12-pound fluoro on the actual worm harness. So dude, you're cranking up, and you would get the fish to the surface. And if they were smaller, I would just flip them in the boat. And sometimes they would come off, and I would just flip the worm harness right back down again. And there, literally, it was fishing in a barrel sometimes. And that worm harness on a bottom bouncer is probably one of my favorite ways to catch walleye, truly, in those situations, right?
Yep. Yeah. And I have to say it did really well this week too for those who used it. I would say it was probably a little bit more of a minnow bite than a worm bite, but they did eat their meat, and they did show some favoritism towards the bottom bouncer, but it was used by a good number of our participants, and of course it caught fish. But again, things that you wouldn't expect necessarily to do really well, they did. One that I would love to try next year, and I can't wait after confirming that they do very well up there, is the jigging wrap. Never tried it just because of all the logs on the bottom, but yeah, jigging wrap is definitely
and I think the jigging wrap goes back to, you think about those years of just jigging a leech on a jig head and how boring that was. But if you went back with a jigging wrap, and there's so many different baits now that you can jig with, like, we're not just talking a ball head jig and a twister tail and a leech. Now we're talking, I think of all these ice fishing baits. I was thinking about this while listening to you and Jim talk. Like, I would love to go back up to some of these walleye lakes. I haven't been to in years now. I've been so busy with family. But, man, I'd love to go back up there and give it a go with some different baits and see how that goes. Because even though you're more or less stationary, think of what you could do. And those jigging wraps too, like, they're great on suspended fish. So if you could get over those schools and, like, either, geez, I wonder if you could troll slow enough. I see Richard's question here in the chat about trolling, but I wonder if you could troll slow enough where you could almost or let the wind just drift you and just vertically jig that jigging wrap, because you want to keep it vertical, but you also want to move around a bit, right? So
I also thought of the Simcoe Slayer, like for perch. Again, they're eating all kinds of stuff up there off the bottom, and minnows and what have you. So I'd like to try to see if that Simcoe Slayer does well up there. There is perch in the lake, so they are eating perch as well. But to your point, I think primarily based on the fact that white was a pretty popular color, they're eating a lot of Cisco.
Yeah, I agree.
Great. Great question here from Richard.
Yeah.
What speed do you troll a bottom bouncer? Now, typically, and I'll just answer for me, if the bite is a tough one, then you try to slow down to like a half a mile an hour to a mile and a half. Yeah. If the bite is aggressive and it's a reactionary bite, just like John has mentioned, you get up into the 2, maybe 3. 3 might be a little much in my opinion, but I understand what John's trying to say. You definitely want to be a little bit quicker. What's your take?
Yeah, I usually, like, a lot of my experiences, like, smaller, like, these are like outfitter boats. So you try and basically, well, it's kind of funny, but back in the day, man, you're just happy if the damn thing didn't stall because you want to go as slow as you can, right? So, but you're aiming for that 1 mile an hour. And that's why I like to back troll into the wind.
Yeah.
It slows me down. So back trolling slows you down, better boat control. And just 2, it just gives you so much more precision. It's just, now I know a lot of anglers, and if it is windier and rougher, you got a forward troll. You don't have the control on a vessel, right? But you got to keep it under 1 mile an hour. I think, if you're going over 2 with a worm harness, and now if you're trolling body baits, that's different. There's different speeds, different actions. And I think you can get away with going a little quicker, but I think with a worm harness, you got to keep, now you don't want to go too slow because then it gets snaggy. You want it up off the bottom. And I've often found, this is why I love the line counter on a worm harness, is some anglers were like, well, why do you need a line counter? You just let it go down to the bottom. I'm like, yeah, but the bottom goes up and down. And I'm doing 40 things here, man. I'm driving, I'm watching my graph, I'm watching my GPS, sometimes I'm bailing water, whatever I got to do. And if I'm in 20 feet I might not want to let it go down 20 feet. I'm going to let it go down 18 because I know there's logs down there. I've already got snagged once, but I'm marking fish. So by doing the line counter, I had so much, I knew I just had to watch that ticker, and you let it down and I just stop it. And I know, especially when you're dealing in areas like Horwood, where it's a lot of up and down, and I could make quick adjustments. And basically I'd have, if it was a lot of adjusting, I would have my rod in a rod holder. I love holding the rod, but sometimes I just can't hold it. Put in the rod holder, and I can make quick adjustments up and down with just a hand, right?
Yep.
So a good line counter, and now I know they're heavy, but some of these like size 50 line counters, like they're too small to use on like Erie or something like that. Yep. But boy, for those northern lakes, I'm surprised more anglers don't use them for this application. I found they're just a great deal. Yeah,
it is. It's a great point that you bring up, and yes, 100% line counter reels definitely do some of the homework for you. And as you mentioned, it just gives you a better understanding of where your bait is in the water column. If in fact you're having a hard time finding bottom, or if you just can't seem to get it off bottom, knowing that you're reeling up or reeling back down is crucial to that.
Yeah, because I find a lot of anglers, like when you're letting out your line, you'll end up with. So you want the bottom bouncer like on an angle, right? So I'm going to do it like my screen's mirrored. So I'm going to do it like this. So you want it on an angle a little bit because you got your weight here and then your line up here. And then, but what happens is that anglers start letting more and more line out, and it just sags down and down and down and down like this as it's dragging lower. Now that worm harness is just dragging closer and closer to the bottom. Now, some of them come with floats. I do love ones with floats on them when I'm fishing lakes that have a lot of wood or boulders. But even then, worm harness is only like, maybe a total of what? Not even 15 inches, 12 inches, maybe a foot between the tip to tip, right? So you need to keep that as vertical as you can, but close to bottom, which is obviously the purpose of that bottom bouncer.
So typically, general rule, I always followed anyway. If your line's at anything more than a 45-degree angle, you got to slow down.
Yeah.
Or you got to get a heavier bottom bouncer. But typically 45 degrees down and out away from the boat is the max that you want to be. I truly prefer to have it as close to vertical of the boat as possible. Yeah. But then with that extra weight to try and get it vertical, you're losing a little bit with sensitivity. So it is a balance. You got to find that balance. There's no doubt about it.
Years ago, I used to play around with like 2-piece downrigger rods, like, and shorter ones, like try and find like a 7.5 or 8 foot downrigger rod. And because I tried bait casters, but they're just too fast. The action is just too fast to troll with. And honestly, years ago, this is long before I was even with Pure Fishing. I went to Ugly Sticks, man. Ugly Sticks. You get a 7-foot Ugly Stick. It's 2-piece, medium heavy. You can. I've gone backcountry brook trout fishing with it. It's bulletproof. One. Like, how many times have guys gone backcountry camping and busted a rod? Welcome to the Ugly Stick, guys. You're not casting with this often. If you're trolling with it, it's basically a downrigger rod in a 7-foot frame.
It's the best way to describe it. Yep.
Yeah, and it's great. It's good for what we're talking about, bottom bouncing. It's good for doing just trolling body baits. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It's not the nicest rod to hold if you're gonna like jig with it, but I would always just bring a nice 6.5 medium action or medium light action spinning rod if you're gonna do that. But a good Ugly Stick is hard to beat for what we're talking about here for those applications in like backcountry lakes.
Amen.
Yeah,
got a couple of videos to share with you. One of which I was going to share with Lawrence because he always talks about the state of our salmon fishery out in BC. This isn't BC. This is the northern end up in Alaska. And for those who know this provincial park, not provincial, I should say national park, you'll understand the importance of seeing this many sockeye salmon for the bears. Take a look at this, just chock full. Brooks Falls is the area. It'll give you a description of the significance of where this is. And as you can see the bear in the background, they call it the Fat Bear Week.
Yeah.
And up in Alaska at the Kanemia National Park, Brooke Hartman shared this video, and as I said, look at the amount of sockeye. That is incredible.
That's a very famous waterfall that in the Kenai Peninsula. Like I can remember looking at that waterfall as a kid on National Geographic shows. It's not a very big waterfall. It's only about like a 10 or 12 foot drop. It doesn't do it justice. There's images of bears sitting at the top of that waterfall and actually like catching the salmon like in their claws or in their teeth, in their mouth. That's cool. Yeah, I recommend everyone should look up the Fat Bear contest because it's kind of funny. Like there's some of these bears, it's comical. This contest they have, it's like March Madness. You got to pick the fattest bear, and they have different contenders. And some of these bears get so fat, it is unbelievable. Like I don't know, picture your fattest Garfield cat in a bear shape, like in bear form. It is unreal. It's pretty cool, and it's a great way to that these researchers have done to raise awareness for the fat bears and the grizzly bears up in that part of the world. It's really cool.
Well, it's awesome to see the number of sockeye returning to the rivers. Yeah. As I said, Lawrence has shared with us that there are lots of concerns out on the BC coast that perhaps, with water temperatures changing, that some of these fragile genetic strains of salmon are now moving north to the cooler waters of Alaska. I would hazard a guess that that's bang on based on what I'm seeing in that river. But nonetheless, it's nice to see them as healthy and as abundant as we're seeing there. Fat bear or no fat bear, it's good to see.
Yeah.
Speaking of studies, I wanted to mention this because George brought this to my attention. He sent the link. Just give me 2 seconds. And I'll read a little bit of it. Folks, he's looking for the possibility for people to do a little bit of citizen science with this. And it is, of course, sponsored and conducted by the Fish Ecology and Conservation Physiology Lab. They're calling all freshwater anglers in the U.S. and Canada. Have you noticed threats impacting your fishing experience? A team of university researchers is conducting a survey to understand the threats and potential solutions facing freshwater recreational fisheries, and they want to hear from you. If you fish in freshwater and care about the future of the species you target and the streams, lakes, and rivers they live in, please consider taking the survey. So it's got a QR code there. I'm not sure if the QR code will work for you, but you can go over to the Fish Ecology and Conservation oh my Lord, I can't say it. Physiology Lab.
Yeah, physiology, you got it.
Physiology, thank you. By taking the survey, you'll help inform future management, education, and advocacy efforts. Use the link on the post. So go over to that, and you'll see the link and participate in the survey, and you will have a chance to win Patagonia Guidewater backpack. So they're making it worth your effort, but they also want to hear from you. So, folks, if you have the ability to see this on your news feed, head on over, take the survey. There's the link at the bottom and the QR code if it works. I invite you all to participate. How important is it? I mean, Jay, you're on the other end of this. You get to see some of the stuff that's said. How important are these surveys?
I think they're really important, and I think that what Steve Cook in the Physiology Lab are doing out of Carleton, it's great. They're really trying to raise awareness. There's so many threats to fishing that people don't realize, like access is one. We could talk about invasive species and other like ecological factors, but just straight up fishing access is becoming limited all the time. And it's important for us to protect that access. So surveys like this are important for us as anglers. And if you don't listen, anglers do a lot of complaining, They complain to me. They complain to you, Scotty. They complain all the time. I wish we had this. I wish we had that. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Go on the survey. It's like basically saying, if you don't like how things are, and if you're not part of the change, then you're part of the problem. So it's important for all anglers. You need to be part of the change. So, and if you don't, and I really like, again, what I've known Steve Cook a long time. The grad students in that lab that are working, they're all researchers. Not only have they done some really cool biological and ecological studies, they're also looking at these human demographic studies, looking at the impacts of basically us on our natural resources. And not just from an ecological or biological standpoint, but the management of our resources themselves. And so what do we get upset about? Well, let them know. That's what they want to know. So get on it.
True enough.
Yeah.
So, some great advice there, Jay. And you also shared something with me that I think should bring some light to some folks that may not know. I mean, listen, if you've been on the water, there are two types of watercraft that probably drive you nuts. I don't want to mention the obvious, which is the personal watercraft. Anybody that has a jet ski, I know you ride around with a bit of a target on your back when it comes to boaters and maybe even kayakers for that matter.
Yeah.
But there is one other boat that is not only annoying, but is doing some serious damage as well. And Jay, you sent me this video, and I don't know who the original owner of it is, but I did snip it apart just so
that's fine.
it was the authentic video. But have a listen to this, because this is something that might shock you.
Of 2 years, University of Minnesota researchers Andy Riesgraff and Jeff Moore have studied the effects of powerboats.
We looked at 7 different recreational boats,
including wake boats, which are designed to sit deeper in the water, creating a larger, more surfable wave.
It's significant. Boats are getting bigger, more powerful in the state, and so that energy is going into the water and it's impacting the water column and the wake bed.
Researchers have since found that turbulence from wake boats adversely impacts lakes, stirring up sediments in the water, releasing nutrients like phosphorus, and leading to excessive algae growth.
These finer sediments can stay mobilized for a long time.
This view from above reveals the trail of the disturbed lake bed, and this is what it looked like nearly an hour later.
The video does an even better job if you get a chance to watch it in its entirety. There's a lot of detailed work that goes underwater, and even depending on depth, some would say, okay, a wake boat at 9 feet is going to do a lot of disturbance to the bottom. Well, even at 14, 15, and at 20 feet, those same boats are lifting silt off the bottom and creating clouds of muck. What I didn't realize, which I think is important, we talk about Hamilton Harbor, Jay, a lot, and how we like to keep that, settled. We don't want to stir that up. And I knew it only because of, what goes on in that bay, that, a lot of that sediment isn't good for us, and we want to keep it as calm as possible. But now we started to think about just regular lakes. And yes, natural phosphorus deposits. You've got nitrogen. Nitrogen, as we all know, if you put an influx of that in the water, it can immediately stun and in some cases kill fish. So these aren't just bad for, your boat moored at the docks and your riprap and erosion along the shorelines. We all know that because we can visually see it. But what we can't see is what goes on below the water. And Jay, I'll let you fill in a little bit.
Yeah. More. So I literally just stumbled across this video when I shared it with you. I hadn't heard of this study before. This is for everyone's understanding. This is literally just a few days ago. I was literally just on Instagram, and if you look at my Instagram feed, it's basically fishing videos and food videos. Like, that's all that I get. So it's like, what's this? And I'm listening to it, and I listened to what the researcher said, and I'm like, wow, it goes that far down. And then I replayed the video, and I'm like 14 and 15 feet. And then and again, I haven't seen the entire results, so I will. And a lot of this work is preliminary. I'm going to find the actual publications that are coming out of Minnesota for this, but this is really eye opening. Like, wake boats. So Steve mentioned in the comments shoreline damage. Yeah, for sure. I think that in some of these lakes and some of our lakes, the smaller the lake, the more damage. Like, I've been on lakes that are tiny, and these wake boats are going around and around. Now, if they're going to be out in the middle of the lake and over 100 feet of water, like those waves will still travel, but the impact should be mitigated more by depth. But if they're coming in close to shore, or they're just zipping around shallow lakes, they're doing all kinds of damage.
Yep.
If this is true, and especially shallow natural lakes, which mostly have soft sediment substrates. So if they're going out in the spring, they're going to be stirring up sediment. It's going to be covering spawning beds, spawning grounds. You talked about contaminated areas, like like the list, Scotty. Like, listen to me, man. It's just spinning. It's spinning. Like, there's so much to think about with this research question. It's unbelievable.
Well, I think about bass and the bass beds and, the depths of water that they're at. And when these boats are coming to docks, and again, I'm not trying to paint anybody who owns one as someone that doesn't give a crap about the environment. You like to have fun, and this is just another water sport, and totally get it. What's the difference between that and water skiers? Well, we're trying to show you, and maybe you're not aware of the kind of damage that it is causing. But I think of, cottage season is ramping up in the end of June when the weather's starting to get warm. These things are buzzing around. These poor bass are trying to guard the nest. I mean, something like that comes through. Like, I'm giving up. If I'm a bass, I'm done. Like, forget
Well,
it.
even in that video, like, just to keep it fair to everyone, they went through, just so everyone knows, that you heard them say they did 7 different boats, and they looked at most recreational vessels, bass boats included. And you highlighted the wake boats, which was by far the worst culprit. All boats cause some kind of disturbance. We know this. We're not foolish. But definitely, from what their results so far, the wake boats are incredibly destructive at certain depths. So, or maybe not destructive, but there's disturbing. Boy, is it ever disturbs a lot of habitat. So,
well, I mean, Jay, I just think about the sediment. Like, again, I mean, we take it to the extreme of Hamilton Harbor. That is the extreme. But even in other lakes where you have, naturally occurring mercury or high deposits of nitrogen, you start getting that to mix with the water in a concentrated form, and it's not going to do well with the fish. Fish aren't going to react very well.
It makes me think. Richard makes a point. Like, there are horsepower restrictions on certain lakes, and so what I'm hoping that this kind of study that comes out, and if it gets they will have reviewed different boat sizes and different horsepower. And I'm wondering if, based on the size and depth of certain lakes, like almost like you could take all lakes in let's say in the state of Minnesota and apply a ranking to them of some kind, where it's like, okay, these lakes of this size, we're going to put a horsepower restriction on it now. And, that horsepower restriction might be 50 horse. That's fine. Like, it depends on the depth and how much shallow water there might be in that lake. This is the kind of science I find that is really helpful sometimes, where it really gets down to how can we better manage the resource, but also being sort of real about these are the impacts that we are having on these systems. I'm not saying you can't use, like, you can't go tubing, you can't go wakeboarding, but we have to find ways of doing it sustainably, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
100%. No, great. And as I said, thanks so much for sharing that with us. Now, what have you been busy doing? We've learned everything that we did as CFN this past week and all the fishing that we did. What has the Barnucz family been busy up to?
Dude, I'm going to show you something. So I'm going to talk about fishing first, then we'll talk about work. So I'm going to show you a picture. I'm going to share this up. So you might recognize this young lady right here. This is Stephanie, our daughter.
That's right. Yes, it is. She's grown, man. Holy smoke.
Oh yeah. And look at her with her bait caster. She's throwing a bait caster. This is on Saturday. So last spring at the fishing show, she won a contest with Perfect Jig and Brendan Neggs. So this is Brendan Neggs. This is his butt. If he was on right here, he'd be giving me trouble right now. So this is his butt. But this is the Perfect Jig. This is Brendan Neggs. And she won a contest where he had grab bags, 30 grab bags. And if you bought a grab bag, one had the golden jig in the grab bag. This is like Willy Wonka at the Chocolate Factory.
No way. That's so cool.
Stephanie won the grab bag, so she couldn't come to the show. Remember the snowstorm? Remember the
Yes.
snowstorm?
Yep.
So I FaceTimed the booth in Nags' booth, and Stephanie really wanted to win the golden jig. So I bought 2 bags, brought them home, and we did a video. And sure as heck, she got the only golden jig out of 30 bags. So we made this past weekend, there was a kayak tournament on Scugog. Trevor fished in the kayak tournament, and I went out with Brendan and Stephanie. And I'm going to show another picture here.
And I have to admit, Jay, I'm glad you mentioned that it was Steph, because based on how much she's, my Lord, I didn't recognize her first.
And dude, she got, I'm going to share 3 pictures. This is number 2. So she ended up catching this beauty. Like,
sweet.
She couldn't be happier. And like, she caught it on her new rod, on a pink, perfect. Brendan makes his own stick baits, soft stick baits. So he had a little grab bag for Stephanie, and he recommended using hot pink on Scugog. If anyone wants a tip on the show tonight, hot pink on Scugog. And she got that fish. And then I haven't sent this over to Steve yet, because Steve's the magic man. But I have a great photo that I want some CFN magic done. Here it comes. This is a CFN exclusive. She's like, Dad, I want a cool picture like Trevor does with the wide angle. So I said, all right, I'm going to turn around and you give me your best face. And this is what I got.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, dude. We had a fun day. It was really hot. We didn't catch a lot of fish, but we had an absolute riot with Brendan. And, you know, man, he is just one of the good guys out there. There's a lot of great tackle manufacturers in Ontario, across Canada for that matter. And Nags is just one of those that's always supporting local anglers. And he makes all his own products himself. He's out of Brighton. And family guy. He's got, 2 daughters and his wife. And they're just a great family. It was just great to catch up with Brendan. And the fact that Stephanie caught the biggest fish of the day from us. Now, the fishing was tough. Brendan spent time, like, if you've never fished largemouth before in heavy cover, like, let's put it this way. It's way easier to catch a smallmouth on a drop shot or a Ned rig than try and catch something on a frog or flipping a jig or something. Like, it's not easy. But Stephanie is a trooper. She was more than happy to catch that one big fish and be like, I'm done. It's
good for you.
30 degrees out. I caught the big one. I got my picture. I got to fish with Brendan Nags. And now I want to go back to Uncle Richard's pool in Bowmanville, and Trevor could stay out here and fish all he wants. So that's like, literally, that's what we did. So it was a great, Heather was going to go with actually Stephanie, but she couldn't do it. So I was going to fish the kayak tournament, but I thought it was great to spend a day on the water with Stephanie. I spent a lot of time with Trevor, of course. And I honestly, I had to text John Dean in the morning and be like, I'm disqualifying myself from the tournament. He's like, what's going on? I go, I'm going fishing with Brendan next today. So, and we ran into John on the water, and John, just another great guy. It was just great to be on the Scugog that day. A lot of great anglers. And I saw a lot of friends out there, but I was hanging out with Nags was just the highlight of my weekend. And I thank Stephanie for letting Dad come along, because it was her trip. So thanks to Stephanie. Yeah.
Well done, Steph. Speaking of Scugog, John brings up a great question in regards to, churning up a lake or making sure that it keeps moving. They'll turn into swamps. And we see that with pools. Like, I mean, if you own a pool, you always make sure that the jet is pointed up to the sky so that it creates disturbance so that you don't get algae to bloom. So a lot can be said for the same thing with boats traveling around on a lake. And John, thanks for bringing that up. It's a good question.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say. So it won't become a swamp. Like, some of these lakes have a lot of flow going through them. Like, you know what? Let's put it this way. They will become a swamp. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to tell you why. They will become a swamp, but they will become a swamp in 10,000 years. Like, think about these lakes that have formed they've been around. Like they will not become a swamp in the next 5 to maybe 20 generations of us on this planet. Like they've been around. When did the ice recede? 8,000 years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of these lakes have started to fill in. They have, but boats won't change that. It'll be it. Mother Nature will do what it wants to do. They will fill in. The rivers will slowly change. Yeah. So John, you are right. But the boats, it's such a small thing, and like, dude, in 100 years, are we still gonna have boats with props?
Good question.
I don't know.
Good question.
Honestly, like it's the lakes. I don't think that. I don't think it's going to make a difference. To be honest, it's not really. Yeah.
And it's funny you say that because I saw what was the equivalent of a hovercraft, but it was in a motorcycle form.
Yeah.
And they showed the guy riding around on it, and I'm thinking, holy crap, we're worried about drones. We're worried about forward-facing sonar. Now we're going to be able to get into some of these back lakes with these things that fly at, 20, 30 feet over top of tree lines. And, oh, man, I tell you, you talk about accessible angling, it's only going to get more accessible as technology continues to.
Yeah, so that's the thing, too, John. Like, if anyone – but the weeds are so inconsistent. And, like, this year the weeds are crazy because, one, hot weather. The weeds are thick everywhere, and the water levels are down because of the drought. Like, one reason why I haven't been on this show much this summer, dude, is because I have been working nonstop because the conditions have been fantastic for working and wading in rivers.
Yeah.
Like we haven't had a rain day, dude. In literally in 3 months. Like the rivers are I'm having trouble getting into spots to find places to drag a seine net because it's so shallow. It's unbelievable.
So true. It was nice to hear that rain fall. Saturday night. We so desperately.
That 10 millimeters, like it didn't even. It was so needed, but boy, it didn't even do. Actually, and then I also on Sunday morning we were driving back from Skugog on Sunday around noon. It rained pretty good down here for a little bit, but we need like 2-3 inches of rain, not 10-12 millimeters of rain. Right?
In the blink of an eye, you're 100% right. George is waiting for his flying car.
Yeah, dude, 1955, right? Back to the Future. Isn't that the fun running joke, right? 1985, they built. Yeah. So 2000, isn't it 2015 was when we were supposed to get flying cars according to Back to the Future, something like that? Like,
yeah, something like that. Yeah. It's not to say that we don't have them.
No.
Area 51 probably has a whole bunch of them that we're not privy to, but I'm just kidding. I digress. We're talking fishing now. I know that you have something in the lobby here that you want to share.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I know you have questions, so I'm going to talk about it. So now I'm going to tell a little story about this. So for those that haven't seen the videos, our CFN good friend, Richard Elliott, who is a guide up in the Tiverton area, Silver Lake, like Kincardine. So you may not know this, but I was the one that helped get that grass carp to the officials. So I was working in London on the Thames River when I get a phone call from Richard Elliott. And I'm like, yo, man, what's up? He goes, check your phone. I'm like, all right. So I'm working. I got waders on. I'm out with doing my research on mussels. And I look at my phone and I'm like, oh, it's that grass carp. Interesting. I'm like, where are you? He goes, Bruce Nuclear. I'm like, cool. And he goes, what do? I go, do you got it? He goes, yeah, it's like in my boat. I got it tied up to the boat. This thing was, I'll scroll down. Look at the size of it.
It's massive.
Dude, like it's one of the biggest ones that DFO has found. And I've helped to retrieve a couple of these from anglers, like that have been handed off to me. And then I brought them to the office. And it's anyways.
So I have to ask Jay, because it was asked of me up at the retreat.
Yeah.
Did Richard catch the fish or was it belly up?
He found it. He found it like it was still half alive. So he basically, what I can understand is that he basically tied it, like ran a stringer to it and then tied it to his boat.
Okay.
I don't think he could get it in the boat. It was 60 60 pounds.
Yeah, he said 50 pounds or whatever it was. Like,
It was
holy
huge.
smokes.
So-
Look at the size of that thing.
So now, what was great 26 kilograms. So that's over 50 pounds. That's like 55 pounds. So, anyways, what ended up happening is I reached out to Art, but this is the same as anyone else. Call your tips line, call the invasive species line, but get a hold of a CO. The COs really like to get in on this stuff quickly as possible. Now, I had obviously now, even though in my job, I still know the COs, and not just because of my work as an angler. Get to know your local COs. Everybody, please. Like, this is so important to get to know your COs. And anyways, long story short, I got the word out, and DFO had a crew down on Lake Huron, but further south, and they mobilized. They went up. They met Bruce like that afternoon. Like, I'm talking a few hours later, and got the fish. Took it back to Burlington for testing. I was really happy I was able to like put that together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't know that. So thanks for mentioning it, because as I said, Richard did a phenomenal interview with the local news, and as I said, spoke very well. Depicted what an angler should do if they do come across one of those in the future. I really hope that we don't. But let's speak to that size of fish, whether it was dead, still half alive, whatever. Jay, if something that size can make it as far as it did, who's to say that there's a whole bunch of others that already haven't done so as well?
Yeah. Well, I got another one for you.
Oh, no.
Not a grass carp, though. You ready? Okay, here it comes.
What?
Look at that monster.
What?
So this
No way.
This was a bow fisherman in Monroe County, Michigan. So where's Monroe County? Monroe County is the little county at the bottom of Michigan in the western basin of Lake Erie. So this was bow fished out of a little creek called Plum Creek. This was 64.46 pounds.
Holy smokes.
65-pound flathead.
And how rare of a fish is that, Jay? Like, that's like a unicorn.
It's still pretty rare, but the thing is, though, is that now we talk about channel cats, right? So channel cats in Ontario can get up to, like, what's the Ontario record? Of probably 30 pounds, maybe 20, high 20s. Like that's it. I think that I could be wrong, but like that, a 25 or 30 pound channel cat is big. Like, that's big. And we know from the fish off, like some of the channel cats that we've seen come in, actually, Jay Pierce has talked to us about this.
Yes,
right?
100%.
Like, there's been like a big one is 25 pounds, maybe up to 30. This is double that, more than double that. And this is what's happening.
Does the flathead get that big? I didn't even know the flatheads grow that
Yeah,
much.
they get up to 70 and 80 pounds in some of the U.S. waters.
Wow.
So now this is, I say U.S. waters, I mean outside of the Great Lakes. So we're talking Mississippi drainage.
Right.
Now, in some of the coastal areas, the Atlantic coastal areas, these things are a major predator. These things are hoovers up of fish. They eat a lot of live fish. In fact, to target them, what I've read is live bait works best, like big live bait, like big live suckers, big live. In the U.S., they use a lot of like live panfish, big things. Cut bait doesn't work as well for these guys. They like live things. But yeah, this is a super predator. Like, look, like the head on this thing, like the mouth is just, imagine that thing coming at you, man. Like it's just like I don't know what, it's an alien of something. It's pretty.
It really is. It really is.
As an angler, it's cool, but as a biologist, ecologist in the Great Lakes, it's kind of frightening, to be honest. And we're not getting rid of them. They're here to stay. We're going to see more big flatheads like this in Ontario in the next few years. I guarantee it. So,
well, listen. I mean, let's depict it this way. If you're going to an all-you-can-eat buffet, You know,
Yeah.
when someone like Steph shows up, you know, the guy who owns it isn't that upset.
Yep.
But when Scotty shows up, it's like, oh, if we have one more that guy's size, we're going to be out of business. So to your point, yeah, it's awesome to see the size of it, the sheer size of it. But what has it been eating, and what won't it eat? Like, to me, there's nothing that it doesn't eat.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, Jay, we've kept you long. As I said, I know you've come to bat as always, and we really appreciate it. We missed you last week, and as I said, I'm so glad that most of your work is done. Do you have any other research projects that?
Oh yeah, we got more going on, but like things are winding down now. Like, so our core. So I've been on the road since April 1st, pretty much, right? So our core projects are winding down because the weather's been great, and so I'll still be out. Like this week, I'm going to Caledonia tomorrow. I'm going to London Wednesday, Peterborough Thursday, and then Friday I'm off. This weekend, be sure to follow along. I'll be sharing a lot of content. This is the Ontario Bass Nation Junior Qualifier, Youth Qualifier this weekend at Turkey Point. So that's happening this weekend. So I'll be down at Turkey Point. I'll do some live streaming and sharing a lot of content. And so, folks, please share that as it comes along, because it's great to promote these youth events.
Amen.
And then, dude, next weekend's the long weekend. Like, this weekend is the one weekend. The weekend after is a long weekend, dude. And school's back in. It's unbelievable. The summer is flown by. So yeah, it's a lot to work, but hopefully get some more fishing in. And dude, the fishing has been tough. The fishing, this is the dog days of summer this year. The water is 90 degrees in spots. Like, it is unbelievable. We need some cooler nights. This morning it was like 15 degrees driving to work. So I'm like, thank God. Like, things have to change, right? So yeah,
we got to get these mutant catfish off Berkeley Bay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, they must be eating all the gulp off the bottom.
All the gulp.
Yeah. George, you should try some gulp. You might live longer. Yeah, we need more of you. So go. I'll send you some gulp. They're like gummy worms. You just have right out. I got some leeches behind me here. I'll send you some, George. So,
right on, Jake.
Thanks,
stay
buddy.
tuned on Wednesday. We're going to have Gary De Silva on, as well as Cody, who's going to be talking about that event on the weekend. So looking forward to that. And again, thanks for all you do, buddy. And we can't say it enough how much we appreciate you, my friend.
Appreciate you, man. Be well. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Amen. And that is the end of our show. So glad that all of you joined us and spent a little bit of time. Sorry for taking the week off, but it was very much deserved up at Horwood Lake Lodge. Really looking forward to that event again next year. And there's still one more event that you can join us at, and that is, of course, up at Camp McIntosh. We're doing our best to try and fill it. We've got a little bit more than halfway. If you want to join us and have a chance to be a Stella Queen or Stella Stud, I invite you folks to join us and get your chance at taking home one of these. Again, it is what it is, and we certainly thank all those who do join us. But again, people's lives are busy, and we appreciate that. So nobody is being harassed or threatened to come, but we'd love to see you nonetheless. Have yourselves a great week. Turdy Tuesdays tomorrow. Of course, the Power Hour with my good buddy Danny Bacon is Wednesday. Stay tuned for that. In the meantime, have yourselves a great night. All the best. Take care. Peace.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I guess we've run out of time. So I've enjoyed it, but I'm going to do something I haven't done since season 1. Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end.